Hello and welcome again, everyone. I'm your host, Ali, CEO and co-founder of Knowde, the leading digital customer experience platform for chemicals and ingredients. Our goal with this series, as you know, is to share the perspectives you need to navigate the changing digital landscape of the industry. We have another amazing guest with us today. Can't wait to get started. I'm thrilled to welcome Joe Harlan, former Chief Commercial Officer at the Dow Chemical Company and current board member at Hitachi. Prior to joining Dow, he was Executive Vice President of the Consumer and Office Business at 3M, and also spent, I think, about 20 years at GE. I'm so glad Joe is joining us today to tell a little bit more about his story. He's an industry expert that is certainly passionate about all things digital. And since he isn't currently in an operating role, I know that he'll be quite direct about his point of view. Joe, welcome. Thanks so much for making the time. Before we jump into a few questions that we have for you, is there anything else that you want to share about your background?
No, look, I'm a traditional industrial guy. I worked 20 years for GE, 10 with 3M, and about 8 or 9 with Dow Chemical. So I know the industry well. I'm excited about the changes that continue to occur. And to be retired and still somewhat relevant, it's a pleasure. So thanks for having me, Ali.
Well, you're not fully retired. I mean, you're still putting in hours.
Yeah, we do, but it's just exciting to see the changes and what's going on and to be a part of it. It's kind of fun for me. So
cool. Okay, we're going to spend a little bit of time just talking about digital and just the sort of new trends that are happening in the space. What we're seeing is that suppliers are starting to increase their investments in digital capabilities, and I think COVID certainly played a part in that. As you know, there's tons of investments made to what we call the back office around like supply chain software, ERP software, all of those sort of things. And now those investments are starting to shift to customer facing things that, like websites and, CRM and, all of those sort of things. And so, from your perspective in Dow and previously, where did you see the biggest opportunities for suppliers when it comes to customer facing digital?
Yeah, so I think that was well put as you phrased that question, because I think a lot of suppliers would look at, let's get our internal processes in place. How can we get productivity? Let's do CRMs and ERPs and seamless integration of our order to ship processes in the grand scheme of productivity. And I think what's happened now is that a lot of suppliers and companies are starting to say, wait a minute, now that we've got our own internal shop together, and there is a question whether they still have their internal shop together, and I don't mean that to be negative, but there's very few people that can pull this off well. But they're finally trying to figure out and focus more outside in. It's about the customer and what the customer experience is. And you made a comment about COVID, and I think that was a big part of it. People couldn't interact, so now they're trying to interact digitally. And what is my digital experience? And frankly, at the end of the day, folks, sorry, but the new generation is going to interact digitally. So how is my digital experience? Do I have capabilities to look at new product formulations, substitutes based on technologies, interactions with application specialists real time, substitutions with regard to different technologies or applications, samples, which is just a huge thing. It's all that stuff that people are starting to say, that's what our customers are demanding. It's a different sell. If it's a different skill set, particularly because it's digital, it may not be real world. And I think that is what companies are now starting to see. And frankly, at the end of the day, if they do the right thing, it's also less expensive than the traditional way to go to market. So that's why I find a little bit of energy in the new digital applications when you go to market and you have that customer experience.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly see that customer expectations are changing, and the key word is responsiveness. If you need to be able to compare products, or you need to be able to talk to TSND, or you need a tech sheet or access to a sample, I mean, who's the quickest one that's going to be able to deliver that? And for most of these customers, they're now starting online. Like, how quickly can I just go to the website and get what I need? And if it's not there, what they commonly tell us is we'll just go to the competitor's website. And so, we're certainly seeing those expectations change rapidly. Are there any other customer expectations outside of the ones that you've already mentioned that you thought were really important?
I think the one thing you just mentioned, which is, and I'm going to put it maybe in a different vein, it's the lack of patience in response time when it comes to the speed of acknowledgement that as a customer, I need help from a customer. And what I mean by that is, I look at the customers, they're demanding, and all these things that have happened over the years, and I know it's been, I'm gonna go back to 08, 09. Supply chains have shrank, efficiencies have got better, but people want a instantaneous response. And so the key is it's become more of a partnership. So to your point, you made a great comment. Hey, if you can't help me, I'll go to a competitor website. Well, that's where the existing relationships of big suppliers and their associated go-to-market, or in some cases, distribution, can become a very powerful network if they all understand the customer experience. And maybe I wasn't clear on that earlier. The customer experience is, I got listened to, I found what I wanted, they can get it to me quickly, and not only that, they follow up with it once I purchase it, and how's it going? And oh, by the way, next time, we've also got some suggestions of how I can make it even better. And that is so easy when you look at the online capabilities. It's the online chat. It's someone that can answer a question immediately. These people are busy, their cycle times are short, their funds are limited. And so this is where I think that at the end of the day, the movement towards, for lack of a better word, as quickly as you can get instant gratification for someone who's seeking a product, application, and associated solution becomes very, very important. So that's the only thing. You said it well. That's how I see it from an operating perspective.
I think it's pretty clear to most companies now that, these are the trends. This is what's happening in the market. I think there may be some question as to like how fast it's happening, but I don't think there's any doubts that it is happening. And thus why you're starting to see most companies put more and more of their budgets into digital. But from our perspective, it's still not happening as fast as it probably should. And so from your perspective, what are some of the limiting factors as to why this industry is not adopting tech as fast as most other industries?
Yeah, and that's a great question. The first reason why I think, and by the way, I take this please with a grain of salt, they don't still, I think, fundamentally understand the rapid change that it's occurring from the traditional in-person sales call, in-person discussion about what the product application is, to the online speed and capability of the folks that'll get there first. So, for example, it is an onerous task to sell things online because of the regulations, frankly, of this industry, right? So materials, chemicals, product solutions require data sheets, safety requirements, a whole host of regulations that have to occur. And to have that is a daunting task. And how many people are we going to have to do that? And the fact is they don't have the capability because they know how to do it traditionally. I mean, At the end of the day, you've got companies that have organizations, quite large, by the way, and very expensive, doing just product data sheets, just safety data sheets, big sales and commercial organizations. And then you've got the whole IT discussion. And I don't want to be, negative here, but there are very few companies that can attack an ERP new project that comes in on time and on budget, because there's so many different legacy issues they have to deal with. And that's been the whole point, is the legacy issue. And to start with some type of platform that can do it for them at a fraction of the cost is a dream come true. And this isn't a shameless commercial for Knowde here. This is what you're doing to people, and that's why you're growing so fast. is the ability to take all this data and seamlessly integrate it into an organized platform that enables these folks to be able to have a face to the customer in a lower cost application where they don't have these billion-dollar ERP programs. It reminds me a lot, sorry, it's a terrible analogy. Reminds me a lot when people used to have to build a website. They go, oh, it's going to take, $200,000 to build a website. And now it takes, a college graduate and, maybe a couple pizzas to do it. It's just that good. And so I just don't think they've had the capabilities, and they're trapped in their legacy environments. Not to say they're bad, they're going to get there, but it takes time to shift the tide. These are aircraft carriers you're trying to turn around, and it takes time for them to turn around, but they are, and they will. And I think that's what you're providing them. And that's why I'm so encouraged by it, because I think the productivity that occurs there will be a game-changing, it's a totally game-changing environment for the folks that want to move faster, more agile, and have the best possible product solution for their application that, again, downstream will help their customers, and therefore their customers will be more sticky and develop a better relationship going forward. I think it's a win-win for the whole industry. I really do, Ali.
Yeah, I mean, look, the term digital transformation is front and center, and I think most C-suites now. My answer to my own question would probably be that there's not a clear playbook for how to execute on those customer expectations, right? Like there is no, set of companies that are just absolutely knocking out of the park. And it's not clear as to like what that roadmap looks like and how I got to execute that roadmap, because nobody's really done it. And
Right.
so, obviously, we've got our sort of perspectives on that, but it's challenging. It's not easy because, like you said, these are the Titanics that you've got to figure out how to shift. And it is a lot of work. However, we're obviously firm believers, and you've already touched on it, that it starts with the data. Like if you can't get that data layer organized and accurate, and as this industry loves to say, harmonized master data, like if you can't get that or that done well, then like you can't really build the right tech on top of it.
Yeah, look, I think I'm going to, let me date myself on how old I am, but back in 2000, that's ancient, I was an officer in the General Electric Company, and Jack Welch, who was a very visionary leader, he came back and he said, I've almost missed the digital revolution. I spent a weekend with Warren Buffett and Bill Gates out in Seattle, and we're going to digitize the whole company. Well, same thing I was talking about earlier. His vision was digitized for productivity internally. What he didn't have yet was the digitization and the global marketplace to sell externally to the company. So again, it's that inside out, that what are we doing inside out to help that customer, and then outside in. So I would answer your question, and I think you're doing it, is the only way to have the harmony is to listen to the customer and provide what they want. And right now, that's what's happening. The data is enormous. And in fact, it's almost to a point where many companies are still running their orders and frankly, their receivables on Excel spreadsheets. It's true. You'd be shocked to know how many people still haven't enabled or digitized their own order to cash process. What you're doing is you're way beyond that. And you are digitizing the customer experience so that it can be seamless. We used to have this, lights out order processing, which is another ancient term. But to your point, no one has done it well. And when you start to provide that service, Ali, which you are, people start to realize that we don't have to spend that money. We don't have to spend those resources because the capabilities are there. We hop on this platform. It changes the whole way you go to market. It changes the whole way you have a discussion with your customer. And frankly, at the end of the day, it changes your bottom line because it is so much more productive. The key is, will they be able to eliminate the legacy flows of order to cash and accept the new form of order to cash, which should be seamless and also digitized, where again, everybody wins. To me, it's very exciting. I love it. It's great.
It's coming. It's coming.
It is.
I do think that for many organizations, the digital roadmap is on pause right now. And I think it's very unfortunate. And here's why. The market's not like it was 2 years ago. And when there are market headwinds, there are some leaders that decide to just pull back on investments, cut down on costs, and sort of hunker down. And then there are others that will say, look, this is cyclical. We'll get through it. It's fine. We're going to continue to make long-term investments. And so I'd love to know, what advice would you give industry leaders as they're trying to balance, short-term challenges with with long-term investments?
So this is the easiest one. If you look, I started working in 1981, so you can go through all the ups and downs. And, I'm a Hoosier too. So you have upturns because you have downturns. You have downturns because you have upturns. There's a couple things you never do in a downturn. One, you never cut employee education. You never stop calling on the customer. So please don't cut your commercial budget. And why in the world would you not explore digital applications that have a host of productivity benefits beyond just the commercial organization for your entity? This is the time to make the hay, so to speak. This is the time when everybody else is hunkering down and you can go in this digital vein and reach your customer when they might even not be traveling. They may not be entertaining customers, and you can be there when other people aren't. And to be able to do that, I think right now is the most intelligent thing. So please, employee education, customer interaction, digital awareness of how we can go to market in a more productive way. And by the way, a more contemporary way. Let's not lose the fact of the contemporary aspect of what we're talking about here. It's the new way. It's the new generation way. I just don't understand why you wouldn't do that. Cut in other places, but please don't do it here, because this is where you can really get a leg up on competition. And I really mean that. And that's not just today. That's over the last 40 years. Make sure your customers know, even in times where it's not so good out there, that you were there. You called on them, you called them, you talked to them, you're online. They'll remember that. It's very important.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe, for the insights. Everyone loves these, informal conversations with folks that are helping shape the industry, just like you are. And I can assure you that everyone's going to love how direct you are. So thank you to everything that, you've done to move this industry forward, and, keep telling everyone your beliefs, because, obviously we firmly believe in it as well.
I do. I'm in. Thank you, Allie, for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Take care.
Thanks.